the conditioned souls. Purport: the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, descends to the manifested world without being influenced by the material modes of nature. He is eternally beyond the material manifestations. He descends out of his causeless mercy only to reclaim the fallen souls who are captivated by the illusory energy. They are attacked by the material energy and they want to enjoy her under false pretexts. Although, in essence, the living entity is unable to enjoy. One is eternally the servitor of the Lord. And when he forgets this position, he thinks of enjoying the material world, but factually, he is in illusion. The Lord descends to eradicate this false sense of enjoyment and thus reclaim conditioned souls back to Godhead. That is the all merciful nature of the Lord for fallen souls. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादां श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः। ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। आप सभी भक्तों का स्वागत है आज के प्रातःकालीन भागवतम कक्षा में। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल लेट मी कन्फेस दैट I am absolutely not qualified to sit on the Vyasasana and speak from Srimad Bhagavatam, because today's verse Srimad Bhagavatam is speaking about the conditioned souls, how they are entangled in the material world and how Lord comes because of his merciful nature. So I myself is a conditioned living entity, speaking about the conditioned living entity. So whatever I'm going to speak, it is only for my purification. And if something you find that which is not in the line of parampara, you may speak out and state it very clearly so that I can improve. And simultaneously, I would like to also seek the blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas, because just like I mentioned earlier, I'm not at all qualified to speak anything from the Bhagavatam, but because it has been instructed, so I'm daring this, sitting on the Vyasasana and speaking something on this wonderful verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this verse basically is very much, so let us discuss about how this verse is connected with the earlier verse. So yesterday you might have very wonderfully got enlightened from His Grace Saurav Krishna Prabhu. So because of some service engagement, I was not there, but you got I'm sure you must have got very much clarity on, how the absolute truth, what are its qualities and how he comes in this material world. So here the first, in this particular 1.7.23 Srimad Bhagavatam verse, so here the Vasudev ji is explaining that the Lord Krishna as the original personality. So Krishna is basically here referring as a Adya Purusha. So Sa Eva. So if you see in the verse 1.7.24, so the first word of this shloka starts with Sa Eva. So now you might wonder that who that Sa Eva is referring to. So that Sa Eva is referring to the absolute original personality of Godhead, which is mentioned in the earlier verse. So, so when I was hearing about Srila Prabhupada class, so Srila Prabhupada was explaining about the uh, uh, how Lord Krishna is Adya. There is no superior to Lord Krishna. Um, just like if you see in our current context, if you see in our family has someone as a head of the family, maybe a grandfather or maybe the father of the grandfather. So here in the family, if you speak in the context of family, so that grandfather or the father of grandfather is acting like the original person from whom the the children or the next set of generation is coming up. So like that, if you go on searching, because my grandfather has a father and my grandfather's father has a father. So like that, if you go on searching, you may come to a conclusion that the Brahma is the Adi Purush. But that's not also completely correct. So Brahma is also born from the navel of the Garbhodakshi Vishnu. So like that, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that uh, the Sa Eva is basically referring to the original personality of Godhead. Now, to state the fact, just for our understanding, if somebody comes with the argument that how Krishna is the original person, then Prabhupada gives a lot of scriptural arguments also. So what are the scriptural arguments presented by Prabhupada here? So Prabhupada states Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1. Janmadi asya yatonvayad itaras chartheshu abhigya swarat tene brahmaridhaya adi kavaye muyanti yasurayah tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo atra trisargo mrisham dhamna svena sada nirastakuvagam satyam param dhimahi. So here in the first verse itself, Lord Krishna's position is very clearly described, that he is the Janmadi Asya Yataha, that there is no origin to Lord Krishna. Krishna is the origin of everything, but there is no origin to Lord Krishna. Similarly, in Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, 9th chapter, verse 33rd. So here uh, the word comes, Aham Asya Agre. So that means that so Krishna is the Agra Purush, that he is the original personality. There is no origin to Lord Krishna. Similarly, if you, so this is about Bhagavad Puran. Now, if you go to the Vedas, then Vedas also states that Eko Narayana Asit, when there was no creation. So that time only Lord Narayan was there. So in the same Upanishad, so there are a lot of reference comes that even the Narayan is also having the origin. So that way, a lot of Vedic scriptures, even the Vedas also talks about the Lord Krishna is the original person. Even Bhagavad Gita also talks about that Lord Krishna is the original person. When Arjuna, after seeing the Virat Roop, he says that Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavam. So Lord Krishna also, Arjuna also refers to Lord Krishna as the original person in Bhagavad Gita 10.12. So, so this is about scriptural references which Prabhupada gives in his class. So Prabhupada, being very merciful, he is not only addressing the audience who are believers of scriptures, Vedic scriptures, but let's say if you talk in terms of logical point of view, just like earlier we have also discussed the example that family-wise also there is a original person, right? So similarly, if you backtrack and try to identify who is the topmost person from whom everything is emanated. For this purpose, in our device or maybe in the earlier courses, we give example of a train, right? So the train has the engine followed by a lot of bogies, right? So it might feel that the 10th bogie is being pulled by the ninth bogie, and the ninth bogie is pulled up by the eighth bogie, and so on and so forth. But if you see, the first bogie is being pulled up by the engine. And who is pulling up the engine? Nobody. So engine is self-sufficient to to have the motion. So this is the position of Lord Krishna. So Prabhupada basically, in order train the to train the disciples, so he himself is giving the arguments and he himself is trying to refute that argument, so that whenever devotee faces such arguments, the faith, the inline faith of the devotees should not be shackled. So this is a thing. And then even in Bhagavad Gita 7.1 also, Lord Krishna speaks about himself that Matta parataram na anyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. So these are some references for the Krishna as the original personality. So now coming back to analogy that my father has a father, and if you go backtrack and try to find out what is the origin of everything, then you might come to Brahma. That too, if you take a help of Vedic scriptures, then only you come to the point of Brahmaji. If you try to search out the absolute truth or the origin of this creation by your own efforts, then useless, because our own efforts are very much limited. Then if you see, even the Lord Brahma also has an origin, that the origin of the Brahma is Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And Garbhodaksha Vishnu also has an origin. Who is the origin of Garbhodaksha Vishnu? Karada Mahavishnu, Karnada Vishnu. And Karnada Vishnu is also coming from Sankarshan, and Sankarshan is coming from Aniruddha and Pradyumna. And then ultimately Krishna. So all these references that we see, we also find in Vedic scriptures. Even Brahmaji, who is the first living being in this secondary creation, he also says that the Krishna is the Adi Purush in Brahma Samhita 5.1. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Sa Eva. So the conclusion is the Sa Eva means that person which is not ordinary is coming into this material world. So coming back to the current verse. So current verse says that Sa Eva Jiva Lokasya. So that person, don't consider that person as ordinary person. Although his activities, just like Kunti Maharani says, although his activities are human-like, but because his activities are human-like, a normal conditioned living entity might consider Lord Krishna as an ordinary person, right? Which is generally the case in the case of Mayavadis. They consider Lord Krishna as very ordinary, because of his bewildering activities. When he was chased by Mother Yashoda, he gets frightened, or he becomes fearful. So such bewildering activities, a conditioned jiva might get in the illusion that Lord Krishna is ordinary, and such ordinary person is coming in this material world. So then person obviously thinks, or obviously says that, if such ordinary person is coming into this world, then what is the use of listening to his activities, because his activities are also like conditioned like other living entities. So this sa eva carries a significance that that Lord Krishna, don't consider him as ordinary. Such person is coming into this material world. It's a big thing, right? Let's say in our sorry, we are trying to have our land in our Hinjawadi. So let's say if Prime Minister Narendra Modi comes for inauguration of our land or our temple opening. So how much careful or how much uh, attentive we will be in every aspects of the cleanliness. I was just got to know that when our NVCC temple inauguration was there, so the president of that time, Pranab Mukherjee, he was coming to inaugurate our temple, and there was no road approach because our NVCC is little inside from the main road. So from main road to the temple, there was no road. It was completely in a messed up condition. So when the municipal government, when they came to know that such highly influential president is coming, so in the overnight, so one devotee was telling that when I left my home, sorry, on that word, a day prior to the temple inauguration. So when I left from the temple, maybe in the evening 7 o'clock, there was no road, and when I came in the morning at 7 o'clock, there was a road. So this states the capability of the municipal government. If they decide, they can build up the road even within one night. So, so why I was specifying that point, that when you consider that something or some person as extraordinary or important, then you behave accordingly, right? If some normal ordinary person would have inaugurated, then the government would not have cared about building up the road. So similarly, here also. The sa eva is signifying that do not consider Lord Krishna as ordinary, because he is coming into this material world uh, out of his merciful nature. Why he is coming into this material world? To reclaim the fallen conditioned souls. So that's why the word Jiva Lokasya is referred to this planetary system or maybe a material world, right? Jiva Lokasya. The living entities in this world are conditioned. So Prabhupada, he when he was giving a class in Vrindavan in the same verse, so he was explaining the each and every words. So he explained about sa eva, that how it is connected with the earlier verse. Then he was speaking about jiva lokasya. This material world is called jiva loka. Why it is called jiva loka? Because the living entity is covered with the nescience or the avidya. So because of that, this world is called as the Jiva Lokasya. Now, to state that fact that we are conditioned, Srila Prabhupada gave a lot of example that how we are conditioned. Prabhupada was giving example of there are so many planets in the material universe, right? Maybe moon planets and planet. Even in our solar system, there are 9 planets, 9 or 10. I don't know what is the current count which scientists are speaking about. So, but yes, there are a lot of planets, and if you want to reach to that planet, then you cannot go there by your own efforts, even though you build big Sputniks. Prabhupada gave, because that time moon landing was the news of the era. So Prabhupada a lot of times give the example of planets. I know the scientists are trying to go to the moon planet. So so even if you build Sputniks or any type of machine, if you go there, you will find only rocks. But on the other hand, if you see what Vedic scriptures are trying to tell about these planets, they're saying that the living entities are also there in such planetary system. So if you do not have proper visa, then you will end up in no man's land. So that is what the thing is. So Prabhupada is giving his own example that when he wanted to go to USA, America, and he had to go through a lot of customs, lot of visa checks and all those stuffs. So first, so Prabhupada was saying that first we have to qualify ourselves in order to reach to these planetary systems. We are conditioned. So condition means we have been put some condition. Unless and until we satisfy that condition, we are not able to overcome that particular obstacle, right? So that is the meaning of the condition. And because we are in this world, so that's why we are conditioned. So Prabhupada was saying that not only to the movement we are conditioned, but body wise also we are conditioned. How body wise we are conditioned? Because our body is always changing. So some person who may be beautiful, he might enjoy getting attraction to his beauty, right? But his beauty is fading away, right? If you consider the strength, you get a lot of name, fame, recognition with the help of your strength. You may be a Muhammad Ali or maybe a gold medalist, the champion, right? But the champion also has to retire. Sachin Tendulkar at one point of time was the god of the cricket, right? But now no, hardly anyone remembers. Now I don't know whether Gen Z even remembers the Sachin Tendulkar. So that is the case with the strength, right? So if you speak about the intellectual power, then maybe you have some intellect, growing, but with the growing age, that intellectual power is also gets diminished. So the body is always changing. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara tatra dehantara prapti dhiras tatra na bhujyati. Sorry in case if I'm quoting some words here and there. So no, body is always changing. We are conditioned. Nobody can stop this changing situation. No matter how much Botox injection you put into your body to look yourself young, no matter how much cosmetics you apply, but still at one point of time the old age will certainly appear at your face. How no matter how much beautiful Miss Universe, Mr. Universe, whatever you are, right? This very famous picture of Arnold when he was young, his bodily strength, and when if you see it now, his bodily strength, his muscles and all those things are now वैसे लटक रहे हैं वैसे पूरा एकदम. So that is the situation with this material world. Our body is also conditioned. It has to go through the transformation. No matter how much scientists are promising that we will make human beings immortal at one point of time in the future, but still Prabhupada is saying that they are giving the post-dated checks and fooling the innocent living beings. So that is a way in which we are bodily conditioned. So not only the humans are conditioned, but every living entity in this world that you see, even animals are also conditioned, right? Whenever, of course, if you see in the whole living creation, the human beings are the most evolved species. Now, the most evolved species itself are conditioned, then what to speak of the lower animals, right? So that is what the Prabhupada was saying, that animals, they cannot come into the city because they have fear that the moment they come into city, they get slaughtered and being eaten by the animals, eaten by the another animal called as humans, right? So, and humans on the similar hand, they are also afraid to go into jungle because when when they go into jungle, then they might get the same reaction which they have been put into. So they are giving it to the animals. So that way, even the animals are also conditioned. Then Prabhupada puts an argument that why you are conditioned, although you are mame vamsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana, right? Now, if you take an example of a son of Ambani or son of Adani, right? The Adani has so many factories, maybe outside of India also. So if the son of the Ambani or the son of Adani is restricted from being enter into that enter into those factories, then you may say that that son of the Ambani is he must have committed some aparadha, or he might not be obedient to his father. That's why he is not allowed to enter into those factories, right? Otherwise, if the son of the Ambani is obedient to his father, or he has a joyous relationship with his father, then there is no problem in giving the freedom to enter into the factories, right? So similarly, this material world or a spiritual world is nothing but the factories or the creation of the Lord, right? And we all are his part and parcel. He himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, "Mame vamsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manashashtani indriyani uh, prakriti sthani karshiti." So we are like son of Ambani, right? But we are disobedient. That's why the freedom is restricted. So in this material world also, we see that the freedom is restricted if we are disobedient, right? So no matter you are the son of Ambani or Adani, whatever. So that's why. So here Prabhupada is saying that why you are conditioned, because you have uh, not disobeyed, but uh, you have turned away from the Lord Krishna. You wanted to enjoy things separately. That's why Maya Mohita Chetasa. That's why the Chitta or the Chetana is bewildered by the material energy. Now, this material energy is nothing but the energy of Krishna. And in the Bhagavad Gita, this material energy is stated as, this material energy is Daivi Esha Gunamai, right? This material energy is manifested in the form of three modes of material nature: Rajogun, Tamogun, and Sattvagun. So in Sattvagun, person is contented, happy, and he don't want to perform any aspects of devotional service. Why? Because he considered that I'm happy. So what is the necessity of worship of Lord Krishna? And I think that is the reason why when Srila Prabhupada, when he was trying to preach in India, because more or less people were kind of some categories of people, they were in the kind of sattva guna, right? So nobody was searching for the Lord. So that's why nobody could accept what Prabhupada was saying. But the moment when Prabhupada went to the right audience, of course every audience is the right audience, but the capable audience, then the message of Bhagavad Gita was well taken. And that way the Indians also came to their senses. So Maya Mohita Chetasa, bewildered by Maya. We were talking about Daivi Esha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratya. So this way we all are conditioned. Why? Because we have turned away ourselves from Krishna, and we want to enjoy separately. We want to become separate enjoyer, proprietor, master, and we want to become independent. So that's why we got into this world, and that's why we got Maya Mohita Chetasa, because this is what the characteristics of this material nature. And material nature, because just like, for example, if the son of a rich father, if he is not obedient or he is little frivolous, then if the father wants the son to be well educated, then what he do is basically he appoints one tutor, right? He appoints a tutor, and he gives the in charge of everything of his studies to the tutor. And then tutor, because if the son, sorry, if the father he himself becomes a tutor, then the child might take it casually or might becomes more frivolous. So he appoints a tutor in order to properly educate a child. So similarly, Lord Krishna also appoints the material energy as a tutor, so that we all conditioned beings take our lessons and go back home, back to Godhead. So the job of tutor is not to torture us. So similarly, the job of Maya is not to torture or to put obstacles in front of the living entity. The job of Maya is to test us. You know, the exams might sounds like torturing, right, to a student who is not well prepared, right? Because obviously he's going to fail in the exam if he is not well prepared. So the job of the Maya is to give test, as per the, and that too as per the level of the jivas. So the test comes in the form of temptations. So it is up to us how we are determined in the purpose of serving Krishna. So if we are determined in the purpose of serving Krishna, then we can very easily pass those tests. Otherwise, then we may easily give up to those temptations which are put up by the Maya. So in that case, we can't blame the Maya that Maya is putting a lot of tests. So the whole responsibility lies on us only, that how we are determined in the purpose of serving Krishna. So if we are determined in the purpose of serving Krishna, then only we can overcome those temptations. So that's why Srila Jiva Goswami in the Nectar of Instruction says that Anukulasya Sankalpasya Pratikulasya Varjanam. So whatever is favorable for devotional service, we should accept those things. And whatever are unfavorable, then we should reject those things. So that is what the job role of the Maya. So then Prabhupada, in the particular this episode, was saying that our nature is, our dharma is basically to serve the Lord. Jivera Swarup hoy Krishner Nitya Das. So when we forget this Jiver Swarup hoy Krishner Nitya Das, so when we forget our actual Swarup, and when we take to the our non-original Swarup, what is the non-original Swarup? Being a master, being a independent, being full enjoyer. So no matter how much extent we try to enjoy, we cannot become happy, right? So, and why we cannot become happy? Because we are not aligning with our original Swarup, which is Krishna Nitya Das. So when we take up to this false Swarup of being an enjoyer, then no matter how much we effort, scientists are putting a lot of efforts to become happy. They are trying to invent a lot of gadgets, a lot of comforts. So if you see, even Madan Sundar Prabhu also gives this example quite often, that if you compare the previous generation with current generation, the previous generation was more happy as compared to the current generation. In spite of having so many facilities, so many gadgets, iPad, iPhone, MacBook or whatever. So in spite of having such facilities, having Dunlop pillow mattress to sleep on, but there's no sleep, right? So if you compare the happiness index of a previous generation with the current generation, then we see that current generation is more miserable. I just once I was just trying to give a query to the ChatGPT. Even ChatGPT also, to my surprise, even ChatGPT also agrees that current generation is facing more mental challenges as compared to the previous generation. So that is happening because we are trying to artificially become happy. So because we are conditioned in this body that to certain level of happiness only we can reach. Even if we try to become happy at the level of mind, even if we try to become at the level of intellect, we have certain restriction on those happiness, right? So uh, so that's why we can become happy only when we come to our original position, that is serving Lord Krishna. So so these are some points which are stated by Prabhupada regarding the Maya Mohita Chetasa. So so in this material world, so there is only illusion of happiness and no actual happiness. So that is what Prabhupada was saying, that this is the nothing but the Maya Mohita Chetasa. Then uh, Prabhupada was saying that this mentality of enjoyment with my own terms is also condemned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj says that Matirna Krishne Paratah Swato Va Matirna Krishne Krata Swato Va Mitho Abhipadyet Gruhavratanam Viradhet Gruhavratanam Adanta Gobhir Vishatam Tamistram Gobhir Kamitam Tamistram Punah Punah Charvita Charvananam. Here the translation is Prahlad Maharaj replied, because of their uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to materialistic life make progress towards hellish conditions and repeatedly achieve that which has already been achieved. Their inclinations toward Krishna are never aroused, either by the instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by a combination of both. So here, the Griha Vrata is basically is being addressed. Mind you, this Grihavata word is different from the Grihastha, right? So Grihastha means that, so here Prabhupada was saying in his class that people take to family just to enjoy the senses. No, they don't want to live a Krishna conscious life. But what is the aim of the family life? Is to enjoy the senses. So if such mentality is there, then this mentality is called as Grihavrata, right? So this mentality is condemned, not the Grahastha ashram is condemned, right? So this mentality might be there in the individual who is not very well situated in the brahmacharya ashram also. Like, so here, if you see that the enjoyment mentality is condemned. So because generally this is the platform where people enjoy by being into the Grihamedi life. So that's why that Grihavata is condemned. So those who take to vow that I will remain in the family life and improve my condition, that is level of my sense gratification. So that is condemned. So if such person is there, such person never become Krishna conscious. Such person, even by the their inclination towards Krishna never aroused. How? Neither by the instructions of others, nor by their own efforts, nor the combination of both. Right? So this is the saying of the Prahlad Maharaj. Because the once the jiva is enter into the mode of sense gratification, then it is very difficult to instruct him unless and until he is sincere in his efforts. So this is the Grihavata which Prabhupada was. So this is the verse Prabhupada referring to, the enjoyment mentality, which is even condemned in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.30 and 31. So if you see, even in our Krishna book, George Harrison also, if you see the case of George Harrison, he was such a famous person. When I was reading about him, seven truckload on his birthday, 7 truckloads of greeting cards used to come on his birthday. So that was the popularity of the George Harrison. And John Lennon, who was the one of the member of the Beatles, he was also shot because in the public assembly he once said that we are more popular even than the Lord Jesus. So, uh, so such person is also saying that, everybody is looking for Krishna. If you see the introduction, no, the preface part of the Krishna book, you will see that George Harrison himself saying that everyone is looking for Krishna, and that he must have understood it from Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada also saying that everyone is looking for Krishna. Everybody wants Krishna actually. The normal conditioned living entity who is trying to satisfy his senses, he is also looking for Krishna, but in the wrong direction. So that is the problem. So, uh, so Prabhupada is comparing our situation like a crying baby, right? The inner thirst of having satisfy our senses is like that crying baby who is looking for his mother, right? So the crying baby, no matter how much facilities, no much material improvements you give, so that crying baby never become happy unless and until that crying baby is put into the lap of his mother, right? So similarly, in our PDC days, we also, when we used to go outside for Harinam, quite often we used to give the analogy of fish. The fish out of water. So when the fish is taken out of water, no matter how much, when very nicely, instrumented AC or whatever material facilities that we have, no matter how much facilities we give to that fish which is taken out of water, nothing can satisfy that fish apart from the water itself, right? So similarly, we also cannot get any satisfaction, any amount of satisfaction, unless and until we again connect back to our eternal relationship with Lord Krishna. So the relationship with Lord Krishna is what we have to work upon. So Prabhupada was giving an example of, he gives a lot of example in this context, but I'm a little bit cutting short. Time is also kind of running up. So Prabhupada is giving example of a screw. Screw in the typewriter, if there is no screw in the typewriter, then you cannot perform your work properly. Prabhupada is giving a example of a typewriter here. So, so that is the value of a screw if you speak in the context of a machine, right? So, if the screw is lying separately somewhere, then there is no value to that screw. Nobody even bother about whether there is screw or not. But the moment the function of a machine is interrupted, then you have to look for that particular screw, and you have to purchase in the market, whatever cost that particular vendor is saying. So, so that is what Prabhupada was speaking about Maya Mohita Chetasa. That, the conditioned living entity, although conditioned, still tries to gain the happiness, but is looking in the wrong direction. So, no matter how much a living entity who is put into a prison try to escape the prison on his own terms, he cannot become, he will not be successful in his attempts unless and until he follows the proper process. So, what is the proper process? Is the bhakti. So, once in the class, Gaurang Darshan Prabhu was saying that yes, no doubt, Maya is powerful and Krishna is more powerful, but it depends on your bhakti whether it is powerful or not. If your bhakti is powerful, then you can very easily overcome the Maya. So that is what Prabhupada was saying about the sense gratification or the Maya Mohita Shetasa. Then such Lord, when the living entities are bewildered or forgetful of their actual dharma, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. So here Prabhupada was not translating, he is speaking about the dharma glani. What is basically dharma glani? So dharma glani is basically that when Jiva forgets that he is the eternal servitor of Krishna. So that is called as Dharmagari. Not that Hindu religion is being attacked by Muslim religion or any other religion. So that is Dharmaglani. You know, um, so that Dharmaglani. So when Jiva forget forgets about his eternal identity, then Lord Krishna comes to establish that original religion, which is our actual Swarup. So I will give pause to my speech. The time is also kind of up. So we'll pause our discussion here. Thank you so much for patient listening. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we have maybe actually time is not there, but still because it's instruction of Prabhuji that at least you should take one question. So we can take one question. If absolutely, I'm not qualified to speak. Answer anything, but still, if I know something, I'll try to address it. Otherwise, you might have to go to Madan Sundar Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yes. Disclaimer.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for a wonderful class. So you nicely explained how this material world is measurable and how Lord is manifest in the material world. Not in material world, there is lots many planets also. So in Prabhupada mentioned in most of the lectures, like in the metal world, it's jail. Okay. So all the living entities are in jail. Doesn't matter he is devotee or non-devotee, what are you doing. So this is jail. So we came here for punishment. Okay. So हमें punishment मिलेगा उसके बाद हम as per our desire, as per our karma will go next. So if it is jail, why Lord is manifest in the metal world? Because Lord knows ये यहाँ पे punishment के लिए आए हैं, ठीक है, punishment लेंगे उसके बाद वो प्यूरिफाई होके जाना है और बीच में भगवान क्यों आते हैं? So this
correct. So the question is that even though see when there is a garbage, right? So nobody wants to go in the garbage and put his hand and take out some things from there. So so Lord Krishna, he does not considered because from Lord Krishna's point of view, everything is spiritual, right? And he has his all merciful nature. Because just like we have discussed, or he very clearly had stated in the Bhagavad Gita that Mame Vamshi Jiva Loke. So even though we have forgotten the relationship with Lord Krishna, but Krishna has not forgotten his relationship with Jivas. So if you see in the purport of this particular verse, in the last line, Prabhupada says that the Lord descends to eradicate this false sense of enjoyment and thus reclaim conditioned souls back to Godhead. That is the all-merciful nature of the Lord for the fallen soul. So because of the all-merciful nature, Lord Krishna, although this is a filthy place, material world, so he comes to reclaim the fallen souls because he has not forgotten the relationship, although we have forgotten the relationship. So because Krishna is putting so much efforts, he's not only given the process, he sent his bona fide representatives like Srila Prabhupada to this world to reclaim. He comes himself in the form of devotee, just like a teacher. Teacher don't have to learn the ABCD. He already knows ABCD. But for the students, for his children, he is teaching ABCD. So that the teacher, so that the students one day they learn their lessons and then go back home, back to order. I hope this. We'll take other questions personally because the time is little. We'll. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada